हम देखते हैं लेकिन not as much as my wife. She's always on.
Please come. Please sit down. Please sit down.
Thank you, sir.
Your name, please.
So my name is Chaitanya Awasthi.
Okay, Mr. Chaitanya, kindly tell us something about yourself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chaitanya Awasthi. I am from Kanpur. I completed my primary schooling from Ranchi, Jharkhand, after which I completed my high school and intermediate from Swaraj India Public School in Kanpur. I've graduated in BA LLB Honours from National University of Juridical Sciences in Kolkata. After which I appeared for the current civil services examinations. This is my first attempt. My interests include poetry, reading memoirs, watching biopics. I enjoy traveling, meeting new people, and playing sports.
So, Mr. Chaitanya, your personality test is on the 13th of April.
Right, sir.
You know, it's an important day in India's calendar. For what?
So, unfortunately, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre took place on 13th of April in 1990.
Anything else?
So, we celebrate Baisakhi on that day.
So, I thought that was more important. Jallianwala Bagh came later on. Baisakhi was being celebrated even before that.
Right, sir.
No?
Right, sir.
In the sequence of calendar.
Right, sir.
What happens on Baisakhi? What is Baisakhi, by the way?
So, basically, it's as per my knowledge, it was celebrated for the farming community, the onset of a new season, perhaps. And
Perhaps, you're not sure.
I'm not sure, sir.
Okay.
That is all.
Okay. Tell us about this Prayagraj shootout.
Recently, sir,
Yeah.
a horrific incident took place where in broad daylight on the streets of Prayagraj, few people shot down a person and now the authorities are in pursuance of the
No,
culprits.
but who was that person? Why was he shot? By whom? Any idea?
So the allegations are that few people involving somebody by the name of aides of Atiq Ahmed, if I can recall, have been named. But other than that, the person shot, I cannot recall, sir. Perhaps he was a businessman, but I cannot recall the name, sir.
Only one person was shot?
So
No idea.
I do not have an idea. As per my understanding, it was one person who was shot.
Is it law and order so bad in UP that a person can be killed like this?
So I won't say the law and order per se is bad. Yes, there are shortcomings which we must address, as it is in every state or in any institution for that matter. But the law and order has been improving in UP as per the NCRB data as well. In terms of crime rate, UP does not feature in the top 10 places in India as well, and we've been making great strides in.
But demolishing people's houses for the alleged crime,
Right, sir.
is it permitted under the law?
So at times under municipal acts of municipalities, it is permitted to remove illegal encroachments. However, due process
No,
needs to
but
be.
then there are thousands of such houses. Why only these guys' houses are removed?
Right, sir. So the implementation of rule of law is equitable. It does not see the person.
It's not equitable, it is selective. Because they are not the only ones who would have constructed these illegal houses. There are thousands of others. Their houses are not touched.
So they will be touched in due course. For instance, sir, I was also once caught as a traffic violator, and I asked the same question to the traffic policeman that there are so many people going around with helmets. Why only me?
Acha, tell me, have you read today's newspaper?
Yes, I had a look at it.
Tell me three main headlines, please.
So the front page was Virat Kohli and his century, and other than that, there is a petition filed by the government regarding legalization of the same-sex marriage in the Supreme Court, and other than that, there were certain political news about Mr. Modi's rally in Karnataka.
What did the government say? It should be legalized, same-sex marriage?
No, sir. To the contrary, the government has filed the affidavit that in the present socio-political scenario, it would not be appropriate and the wisest of call to legalize same-sex marriages for a number of reasons.
So what is the stand of the government then?
So the stand of the government is that socially marriage is a sacrament in our society, which is governed by both codified and uncodified personal laws as well as statutory laws. And the government believes that marriage is different from the decriminalization of Section 377 because it involves a lot of other socio-political ramifications that emanate out of a marriage union.
But tell me, according to you, what are the deficiencies in Indian democracy?
So I would say, firstly, in Indian democracy, the biggest, perhaps the shortcoming is the political education of the masses. Their participatory nature could be better improved. Secondly, criminalization of politics. The legislators have a greater responsibility than the masses. So I would say, in no particular order, I would have placed criminalization above. And thirdly, I would say, sir, on shortcomings in Indian democracy, perhaps we are at times we tend to become a mobocracy as well. So that is
How to address these issues?
So the criminalization of politics has to be dealt with holistically and has to start from the legislators themselves. With political parties have to take the initiative to deny such people.
Will they?
So I think therein the second part, the political education of the masses, will play a big role, because when the people will
then that's a long-term measure, yeah.
Right, sir.
Yes, then
other than that, sir, I believe certain implementation of legislations and rules by particular institutions also needs to be strengthened. For example, the Lily Thomas case was a good attempt at this case to plug the loopholes in law to ensure there is a stricter implementation.
Right.
Mr. Chaitanya Awasthi,
Right, sir.
what do you hope to achieve by joining the civil service?
So I hope to achieve a pursuit of excellence has been my goal, and I believe civil services is the right forum for it. But particularly for the civil services, there are a number of personal and professional reasons. I was introduced to the services, to be honest, because of my father, his sense of admiration towards the
No,
office.
the question is, what do you hope to achieve?
So I seek to achieve professional as well as personal satisfaction, both which can be.
But you're a law graduate. This is seeking professional excellence in law is far easier. Excel in law, and then you achieve excellence.
Right, sir.
Bureaucracy is such a huge thing; you'll never be able to achieve excellence.
So I do not have any experience of bureaucracy. So
I'm telling you.
right, sir. That is why, as the honorable board member said, so I believe my inclinations are slightly different from a legal profession. I find my calling and interest towards policy implementation and formulation at later stages.
No, let's stick to the question.
Right, sir.
What do you hope to achieve? I am telling you that in the bureaucracy is very difficult to achieve, because you may not get the kind of jobs that you are looking for.
So perhaps that is what makes it more challenging, and that makes the pursuit more interesting, because if it comes easy, then it loses the charm, sir. So I think that what makes the pursuit of excellence in the true sense actually a pursuit. So I think it's a journey that matters, and as the honorable board member said that it is difficult, then I would say that it is even better.
Is there a particular sector you would like to achieve excellence in?
So I'm really passionate about education. So that is something I would like to work upon in whichever capacity I'm able to contribute. But I really believe that variety is the spice of life, sir, I have believed. So
No, these are two very contradictory statements.
Right, sir, because the question
Variety and excellence.
Right, sir, but
Well, let's talk about education. You want to
right, sir.
work in the education sector. What is the quality of education at present?
So
What is the quality of education?
So unfortunately, India is going through a learning crisis. A lot of surveys from Acer and others have pointed out on the deficiencies in foundational learning as well in the country. So that is a saddening reality of our educational
So
system.
how would you improve quality of education?
So I think it has to be a multi-stakeholder approach, right from the people who are being taught to the people who are teaching, providing infrastructural support to them, providing incentives to the teachers so that they not only focus upon quantitative parameters as to the number of people passing and others, but also on the qualitative, and that could only come when they are personally motivated to do such thing. And that would require infrastructural support in terms of remuneration, good facilities. For instance, if a person, Atal Tinkering Lab, sir, in my village recently was inaugurated, and it received a wonderful response. The teachers were motivated to see something like a 3D printer coming in their vicinity for the first time, and it really caught the imagination of the children. And since then, the attendance in the school has fairly increased, and people have been very excited about Atal Tinkering. So small steps also can have large impacts, sir.
Motivating teachers, isn't it the job of teachers to motivate children?
Right, sir. But
why motivate teachers?
So many times, as teachers also are humans, when their aspirations and the objectives they have in mind feel short of the realities on the ground, they seem to get disenchanted like any other human would. And in this situation, I think the role of the government is important to step in and encourage the teachers so that they not only extract the true potential out of the students, but they can only do so when they are extracting the true potential out of themselves, sir.
Okay. Now tell me, what is wrong with the health sector in India?
Sir, the health sector, I would say, is tremendously overburdened in our country, as was exposed by the recent pandemic as well.
Yeah, what is wrong?
So the expenditure, recent budget has allocated around 2.1% of the budget.
Less resources. What else is wrong?
The other, sir, is our focus. We are focusing on communicable diseases a lot, whereas the disease burden around 55% is of non-communicable diseases, and they can be tackled through a healthy lifestyle and early stage interventions.
What else? That's for doctors. We're talking as non-doctors.
Right, sir. I would say the other thing wrong is the practices of certain doctors as well, who are not focusing much of their duties on the primary health, which is their main responsibility, but are diverting patients to private clinics and other such institutions, which is leading to an increment in the out-of-pocket expenditure, which has several spin-off ramifications and leads to poor education, poor health status, food squeeze, and so on and so forth, sir. So these are the few problems in the health sector.
Okay, my last question.
Right, sir.
You watch biopics.
Right, sir.
Which ones have you watched recently?
Sir, it's been quite some time, but the last one I watched was titled A Bohemian Rhapsody. It was the biopic of the band Queen's lead singer, Freddie Mercury. And before that, one of my favorites has been A 12-Year Night. It's on Jose Mujica, who was
what are the origins of Freddie Mercury? Where did he come from?
So, I cannot recall particularly, but I think his parents were immigrants, and he belonged.
Immigrants from where?
Sir, I think they were Jews, and they came from Israel, but I'm really not sure, sir.
Thank you.
Right, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Chaitanya.
Yes, sir.
Traveling is your hobby.
Right, sir.
Where did you travel last?
So the last was a trip with my parents to Kedarnath, sir.
Kedarnath. What did you see?
So we obviously the main attraction was the pilgrimage. We went to Kedarnath, and on our return to Badrinath, and had a stay for a while at Joshimath also, and then we came back.
Oh, what did you see while traveling?
So,
hobby is traveling, no? Not
right, sir.
seeing the
Right, sir.
religious places.
So my experiences, other than obviously the scenic part of the journey, because of it being in the Garhwal regions, I saw a kind of order that was there in Kedarnath in terms of the number of pilgrims that were coming. The management of the entire apparatus of everyone was really commendable. Other than that, sir, just few things that caught my eye during the journey was there was a small sleepy town called Chopta, and it had a very big board calling it the mini Switzerland of India. And the more we progressed, we saw the meadows and everything, and which justified that sign, but that caught my attention. And other than that, sir, I found Joshimath and towns like Auli very overcrowded. They were the construction there was too much. The lanes were very narrow, and the people were very sweet, and the animals were very how to say, sir, because of their fur and the fluffiness, they were very
How was the
endearing.
climate?
So we went in November, so it
Cool.
was pretty cold, but during the days, because of the sun, it was very
Okay. What parts of the budget you would like to change?
So, firstly, I would like, if it were up to me, greater expenditure on social sector like education and health. That could have been better. Other than that, I believe, sir, that there have been certain reductions in expenditure on agriculture as well in terms of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Although the Grameen part has increased, but the overall budget has decreased, and that I have found to be a very empowering program of the government in my vicinity as well. Seeing people get membership, that too in
That
the
also you want to change.
uh,
Very empowering program you want to change.
So there was also a cut in the Manrega as well, but that has been rationalized with the pre-pandemic level. So I would not per se have much to change, but perhaps a greater budgetary allocation, because at the end of the year it always gets revised to a greater allocation, and then that disturbs the other elements. So from
So
now on.
social sector, agriculture and Manrega, these are the three things you want to change.
And sir, a little bit of expenditure more on research and development. Also, we spend a very parsley amount every year on research and development, and that is where I think we lose out in the long run, especially in the field of emerging technologies and sciences. I think any country which is not investing enough on research and development is going to lose out on the long run. And given the demographic dividend we have, I think we are at a very wonderful stage where we need to take these initiatives at the right time.
Okay, last question to you
Right, sir?
is in a situation I will give you.
Sure, sir.
Listen carefully.
Right, sir.
There are three children. First child has made a flute, but he doesn't know how to play it. There is second child who knows how to play it but doesn't know how to make it. And there is third child who doesn't know how to make it or play it. And this third child is from economic weaker sections. So now each of these children, they want flute. So this economic weaker section child says that I don't have a toy, this flute should be given to me so that I can play with it. Second child says that I only know how to play it, so it is of no use to both of you. I should be given this flute. And the first child says that since I have made it, so it should be with me. There is a dispute. So they come to you, you have to decide. If you have to give to one of them, to whom would you like to give?
And there's only one flute that can be given.
Yeah, that's
Right, sir. So, in my opinion, perhaps I would give it to the second boy who knows how to play the flute, for reasons wherein the third boy that you mentioned from the economically weaker section wanted a toy, which could be anything to play with, and he had no particular interest in that flute alone. The first boy perhaps was in a position to make more flutes, so I would encourage him to not just make one for himself, but for the other two boys as well, and encourage his entrepreneurial skills as well, so that he can find his true passion and calling in making the flute.
okay.
And the flute would be better utilized by the second person.
Okay, fine, that's all. That is the second child himself said that this is of no use to both of you. So that argument is okay. Same argument child is giving, you are also, based on the same argument, you are allotting to him.
So not that strictly that it's of no use. Yes, the use is, but in orders of priorities and preference, perhaps he would make better use of
Okay,
if there is
okay,
only one
fine.
flute to be given.
Now, consider this flute is a resource.
Right, sir.
Just like in the budget we have resources.
Right, sir.
And you have to allocate the resources.
Right, sir.
And these children are not children now, they are the sectors
Right, sir.
of economy.
Right, sir.
So, now tell me, what does it mean in allocation sense? What kind of classification it will fit into, or what kind of term you will give to when
Right.
you give to the second child?
Right, sir.
What is the basis?
So, if we talk about resource allocation, given the example that we just discussed, I would say my opinion would still hold, as long as we are making ensuring a welfare state by providing the vulnerable sections and the weaker sections of the basic necessities. If we provide the best resource available to the community, say the private sector, which can make use of it best, it will at the end of the day benefit the weaker section only. So if we give the flute to the boy who plays it, he perhaps will organize a show in which that person who never had an interest in that particular flute
No,
can.
I am asking what does it amount to in terms of a kind of a governance? What kind of governance it is if you give to
So
the
I
second
would say
one?
it is a governance which makes basis of optimum governance, the best possible use of the possible resource. Sir.
Okay, and if you give to the second child, third child?
So it would be perhaps somewhere near to welfare governance, but not
and-
welfare governance.
And to the first one?
To the first one, sir, perhaps it would be very, I do not have the exact term, maybe an autocratic kind of government where the person is saying because I made it,
Okay.
it will belong
Thank
to me.
you, thank you.
Right, sir.
Mr. Chaitanya Awasthi,
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at your DAF and it's indeed very impressive.
Thank you so much, sir.
You've mentioned that your interest is in traveling,
Yes, sir.
and it seems you've already been to some countries.
Right, sir.
You won an award in Sweden,
Right, sir.
and you also won an award in Bangladesh.
Right, sir.
Now, suppose I want to travel to Bangladesh.
Right, sir.
Please suggest to me 5 cities in Bangladesh which I should visit.
Sir, I went there for a debate competition.
No, but I'm asking you a question.
Right, sir. I will answer that.
5 cities in Bangladesh which I should. You've visited there and you have an interest in traveling.
Right, sir.
So have I, and I
Right,
need
sir.
your advice.
So, unfortunately, I could not travel in that particular trip, but
My question is 5 cities.
Sir, Dhaka.
If you don't know, then say I don't.
so
can't.
I can name a couple of them. Dhaka.
Not 5 cities in a country you visited.
No, sir. Unfortunately, I'm unable to.
Okay,
recall,
now another country which you visited is Sweden.
sir. Right, sir.
I want to visit Sweden
Right, sir.
again.
Right,
I
sir.
visited it in the past.
Yes, sir.
Please suggest 5 cities I should visit in Sweden.
Right, sir. So first would obviously be Stockholm, the capital. Then there is an island called Djurgården, perhaps, which you can visit. I'm not sure if it's a city, sir.
I want 5 cities.
Sir, again, sir, I
You don't know.
apologize. No, sir.
All right. Now, coming back to your interest in traveling.
Right, sir.
Suppose you were in the foreign service
Right, sir.
and you had to choose 3 countries in Europe where you could be posted to. Please tell me which would those be.
So I would say perhaps the first would be United Kingdom. The second would be a country in Eastern Bloc of Europe, perhaps Ukraine or Belarus or any other country in that particular region. And the third would be France, sir.
France. Who's the Prime Minister of France?
So I think it is Emmanuel Macron.
I beg your pardon. He's
Right,
the
sir.
president.
Oh,
He'll be very
right, sir.
offended if we made
Right,
him
sir.
Prime Minister.
Right, sir. I apologize.
That would be a demotion, isn't it?
Apologize, sir. I'm unable to
You
recall.
don't know. Now, how would you assess India's relationship with France? What are the key areas of cooperation from our point of view?
Right, sir. So the key areas from India's perspective would be defense cooperation, particularly the manufacture and transfer of technology in terms of defense sector. France itself is a very culturally rich country, and India is also a very culturally rich country. So that is tourism can be another key area which could be really emphasized upon. And third, I think, sir, would be the emerging green technologies. We have already cooperated in the International Solar Alliance, and France can be leveraged very well by India in upcoming new and green technologies, sir. So these will be the
France is witnessing a lot of demonstrations and some disturbances currently. What is the issue? What has happened? What has upset the labor unions that there are reports of demonstrations and protests every day? Every day now there are protests.
So I apologize, sir. I'm unaware.
Have you followed the decisions of the French government relating to retirement age?
No, sir. I would have to look
You've
up.
not.
Sir.
It's in the papers every day.
Right, sir. I would have to read up on that.
Okay. Are you following current affairs?
So yes, sir.
What can you tell me about the Iran-Saudi deal?
So may I ask the board to take a guess, because I'm not
Oh, you
100%.
haven't followed it on the front pages every day.
So,
The Iran-Saudi deal.
so is it about the normalization of ties between the two countries? That
Yes,
are-
it is. It is
Right.
about restoration of diplomatic relations.
Right, sir.
Okay, tell me something.
So basically, Saudi Arabia has been a Sunni nation, and Iran has been a Shia country. But other than that, also in that regional sphere, both have been vying for greater influence and power struggle. But there has, which
No, no,
led,
but why were the relations broken off, and when were they broken off? What had happened? What triggered off the breaking off of relations?
so. No, sir, I would not want to guess. But I'm
You
unable
have
to
not
recall.
followed this.
No, sir, I'm unable to recall it.
Okay. Are you following the Russia-Ukraine war? You said Ukraine is a country where you'd like to be
Right, sir.
posted. I can tell you not many people wanting to go to Ukraine these days.
Right, sir.
But in the event that you got posted there,
Right, sir.
there is the Russia-Ukraine war, which is the dominant issue as far as global politics is concerned.
Right, sir.
What, according to you, are the main causes of the Russia-Ukraine war?
So the primary cause, I would say, was the eastward expansion of NATO, which the Russian authorities feared would lead to a greater alienation for them in that sphere, because they were using these few countries as a buffer zone between the traditional West and themselves. So that was the cause. Other than that, I think
As far as NATO is concerned, other than Ukraine, some other European countries have also expressed their
right, sir.
wish to join NATO.
Right, sir.
Can you tell me which are those?
So Sweden and Finland.
Correct. Now, how many countries are already members of NATO?
Sir, I think there are 27 members.
Are you sure? Or is that a guess?
No, sir. So from what I recall, NATO is a 27 member.
No, there are 30.
I'm sorry, sir.
Where is it headquartered?
So in Brussels, Belgium.
All right. Now, my last question to you. The Middle East is a focus of a lot of political activity.
Right, sir.
Just as the Iran-Saudi deal is very important, another event which had happened, which was of great importance, was the signing of the Abraham Accords.
Right, sir.
Which countries signed the Abraham Accords?
So the Abraham Accords were signed between UAE, Israel, and Saudi Arabia, and it was in the mediation of the United States of America.
Was Saudi Arabia also a signatory? He said Saudi Arabia. Are you sure it was a signatory?
So UAE and Israel, I'm sure. I think there was a third country as well, but
It was Bahrain, not Saudi.
Bahrain,
Saudi is,
right,
is way off the
Right,
target.
right, sir, right,
How many Arab countries till now have normalized their relations with Israel? This is important because you know the Israel-Arab politics is the dominant factor.
right, sir.
But how many Arab countries have normalized relations?
So UAE and Bahrain have.
Which was the first?
So I'm not aware.
Thank you.
Right, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chaitanya. Our discussion with you is over.
Thank you,
Kindly
sir.
wait outside for a few minutes.
Sure,
We'll
sir.
call you for a feedback.
Thanks.